Strength and honor to you guys. We are going live on Preparedness Talk. Let's get one.
Yo,
Hey man, what's going on?
I know, man. How you feeling, brother?
Hanging in there, man. Hanging in, man. There's a lot going on, man.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. Strength and honor
That's,
to you, American Prepper Group. What's going on?
hey, what up?
Yeah, man.
So how's
So
everything?
everything's been good. I've been watching the world go by and seeing all the craziness and the serious scenarios that we're in today, and really it's a lot, to take in.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
how about yourself,
Definitely.
man?
Well, daughter was sick. I got a little something, so I'm come over right now. So if I seem a little
Uh,
sluggish, it's not
yeah,
that. I'm just
for
feeling
sure.
sluggish. But
Yeah,
everything's good, man. Like you said, one day at a time. It's just so much
yeah,
at the same time.
for sure. I mean, you definitely saw what happened on 95, uh, on the
Down the
East Coast.
block.
Yeah, lockdown. I mean, you had cars piled up. They were staying there overnight
Yeah.
on the road. And during that whole situation, I was coming up with scenarios. What would I do? What
Right.
would be my next move?
Of course.
What would be my course of action if I had my family with me? I don't know if you felt such the same way about it, but
Always. It's always survival thinking.
yeah,
Sometimes too
for sure.
much, but it's just that's how I'm wired.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, the main thing I was thinking about is keeping warm uh, when I run out of gas or I need to save gas. Um, Definitely helps if you have more people in the car with you to
Right.
conserve that
Body
that
heat.
that heat. Uh, but yeah, that was my main concern. I was like, what would I do? To keep warm in there.
Right. The bathroom, you work that out. The hunger,
Yeah,
you can't do nothing about.
right.
Freezing, you better figure it out ASAP.
Yeah, yeah. I saw
But
you did a video on what to do to go to the bathroom when you're in
oh
that
yeah,
type of situation.
yeah. That's my little thing because we head back up north to go see the family. It's like my wife hates to stop.
Hmm.
And if we do, she wants us to be like in and out. So,
Right.
at a certain point, it's like, especially if we're traveling overnight and it's late and I have my coffee, and it's just like, well, should we really stop? And I'm not telling anybody to do that while they're driving, but I mean,
Right.
that
Yeah, I
bottle
mean,
comes in
worst
weighed
case
in.
scenario, you have to do what you have to do at the end of the day. Uh,
Right,
when you gotta go, you gotta go.
right.
Uh, so, I mean, that's another scenario. Where would you go to the bathroom? Uh, is is there gonna be ice and snow where you go to the bathroom? Will you get injured walking from your car to the woods or the sidewalk?
Right. Just trying to get to use the bathroom.
Right.
And then most
Just
people are
trying
going to
to
be
get
so
there.
self-conscious, they're not going to want to do it because everybody's on the side of the road. So,
Right.
left
Right.
with few options.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, the main thing is keeping warm, having enough clothes with you, that will keep you warm and keep your family warm. Having extra winter clothes
Yeah.
obviously is the number one. But I tend to see that a lot of people don't keep extra clothing in their car,
Or extra
especially around
anything.
these times. Right.
Extra anything. I mean,
Right. So it's very surprising that, I mean, during the wintertime people just don't carry an extra jacket or keep running shoes or snow boots or um, extra gloves. I don't know about you, but my head and my hands get cold really fast.
right,
Um, 10% of our heat coming from the top of our head, so
right,
I always have a hat on deck, especially during this time of the
right.
year, and gloves. I can do without everything else, but my gloves,
You need it.
and my hat, right.
Right. But
So,
me personally, the week before, I just happened to say, let me straighten up the trunk, make sure everything is good. The jump
Right.
start is charged up and everything.
Right.
And when it happened, I was like, yeah. Then I thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute. If that was me, I had water, but I try to put protein bars or something in there that could sustain for the winter. And the summer is a little more, you gotta be careful because of the heat. You can't really
Hmm.
keep it in there for too long. But I was like, I would have definitely been hungry, but I would have been straight on everything else. Because
Right.
you have to have at least a pullover, a hoodie. I always leave that in the car. That's just
Right.
like a given. And then any other little blankets. I just get two is one, one is none. So it's always a
Right.
little extra something in there. But like us, it's a prepared mentality. Everyone is not ready and there yet. And the sad
Yeah.
part is a lot of those people after they got home, I'm sure they didn't even take the steps to plan for if it happens again. Because for them, it's a once in a blue moon. It'll never happen.
Right. Yeah. That guy, Mike, strength and honor to you, brother. He mentions keeping water uh, from dehydration during those times. And yeah, it can be an afterthought, water, um, for most people. I keep a cooler in my car. In all the vehicles that I have, I keep, water in there just in case.
Yep.
So that's a good thought right there, uh, Mike. Uh, and again, if you guys have any questions or any more questions that you guys have, or any ideas or input, please feel free to put it in the chat, because that's what we're here for, to brainstorm, give ideas, make sure everybody goes home safely at the end of the day. Uh, but yeah, but like you said, those are major concerns. I mean, when you're in a vehicle, when you're in a small space, um, many scenarios can happen.
Right.
Uh, but I can only imagine. I've never been through that type of scenario. I've come close many times, but haven't gotten stuck there. Uh, and it definitely would be an adventure,
Yeah.
uh, to say the least. You know.
But I think too is like anything, being able to identify when you're running into trouble. So
Hmm.
the car is creeping, and it's bumper to bumper. At what point do you realize, like, all right, we need to turn off the car and just chill?
Right.
Some people just let it run for an hour and not realize, like, man, I just let it run for an hour and we only moved 3 feet. At a certain point,
Hmm.
just cut it off, recognize the problem, and just start planning ahead. Can I get off the
Right.
road? Is this the time that I need to get off this highway, find a hotel or something? Did you check the forecast? A
Hmm.
lot of stuff can be done with just a little planning. Which the
Yeah.
average person
Yeah.
is, I'm going to go somewhere, I'm just going to jump in there and I got GPS and I'm good. Not the
Right.
case.
Which is what most people do. I
Right.
see a lot of times many people don't look at the weather. Uh, so they just go about their day, not looking at the weather, not sure if it's going to rain or if it's going to snow. And that's one of the main keys that can keep us out of trouble and keep us out of certain scenarios that we don't want to be in.
Right.
Staying out of these conditions, staying out of these types of weather conditions.
Right.
Um, American Prepper, because typically you want to keep at least a half tank. Maybe during the winter, you keep it at three-fourths minimum. Yeah, good point. I mean, you never want to let your tank go below half, in my opinion.
No, I
Um,
mean,
Especially, on long trips, if you're going long distances, never want to keep it below half. What do you think about that?
I personally just like to have more than I need. So it's rare that today actually was yesterday I went and got gas because it was a little below.
Hmm.
And do you remember last year that one weekend when they had that hack with the gas line and everybody
Yeah.
lined up to get gas and a
Right.
lot of people got stuck with none. So it's
Hmm.
just like for me, it's always like, well, I'm halfway. If I have the money, just put it
Hmm.
in, put my gas treatment in there and just be ready to go because worst case scenario, I'm already set. The gas
Right.
is already met. So that's just my mindset with when it comes to gas or anything. And gas cans, not everyone wants to walk with it, but if it's a long trip, might
Hmm.
be a good idea. I saw a meme and it was interesting. I thought about it. I'm not completely sure how the electric cars work. But the question was, they said, so if a lot of those cars were electric and they completely shut off and they needed to be recharged, they
Mm,
don't have mobile chargers for these electric
right,
cars. So
right,
now you have another problem where you have a bunch of electric cars that's stuck on the road. Where I don't
mhm,
think we're at that point yet that there are so many electric cars, but it's just another
right,
thing to make you scratch your head. Like if you have an electric car now, what would you do if your charge runs out? You
yeah,
can't go ask AAA to jump. You know what I mean? So
right.
it's,
Yeah,
it's
I mean, you bring up a great point because I was having this conversation with one of my buddies the other day and how the new ways of technology is bringing us to a point where we're so dependent upon technology nowadays that we have no choice but to, you know, be at the ruthlessness of the new
yeah,
technology, such as the electrical cars,
right.
such as our mobile cell phones,
Right.
such as the local grocery store, Um,
Well, to take it one step further, not to cut you,
mhm. Yeah,
uh, just about any car has so much electronics in it now that
yeah,
it could be a matter of a bad circuit or a bad chip that's just
mhm.
stopping you from push starting your car, or
Right,
whatever it is. So it's it goes a
yeah,
lot deeper.
yeah, for sure. I mean, anything it seems very little, but in the scheme of things, it can affect your whole lifestyle.
Yeah,
Um, and that's why I'm so dedicated to keeping certain old-fashioned things, around and things that we used to depend on to make do. Um,
right.
I was having this conversation with my wife, and having a fireplace in our next home uh, is one of the most important things that I could do. You know, having that or a wooden stove, and
Yes. What is
especially in
those?
these conditions. Yeah.
Yep. I We had our heating replaced, was it last year? No, 2 years ago. And
Mm,
we had a fireplace and it definitely helped.
yeah.
And it's like anywhere we go from here, it's just like it is key to have that.
It's
But my thing
essential.
is, it's essential because
Yeah.
even with my car, I don't like all the bells and whistles.
Right.
Oh, I got the trunk opens by itself. No, 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 that's okay.
Yeah.
I can open it myself. The less electric, the less smart anything I have, the
Hmm.
better. I shook my head the other day. I was in the store. I see somebody picking up a smart mug. I
Mm,
said a smart mug. Like, I mean, not to knock anybody if that's what you want to do, but when you rely so much on technology, it is so easy just to get shut down, and
yeah.
you're out of luck. If
Yeah.
you, especially if you don't know how to go back to the other way. If
Right.
you're a survivalist or you know how to survive and you like those things, that's cool. But if that's the only
Hmm.
thing you know, where you have Wi-Fi, light bulbs, and
Yeah.
smart thermostats and everything, which smart thermostats, the electric companies they can control that as well.
Hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, I read an article where they did that in Texas somewhere when they had that big power thing, and
Right.
they were like, well, no, everybody need their thermometer at this amount. So who had smart thermometers was stuck at the whims of the electric company.
Mm. Uh, American Prepper Group, he brings up in some areas they are banning wood fire places. Huh. I I don't know much
Oh,
about that. American Prepper, if you have more information, please do tell. I know that some places aren't allowing solar panels in their areas, but I don't know about fireplaces. I mean, there's always something that they're trying to restrict us from doing on our own, and not being, you know, uh, dependent on their grid, basically. Uh, like you said, there's so many little things, like the smart houses. I mean, I'm calling them smart houses now because that's what
it
they
is.
are essentially,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They can control, your thermostat. They can control, your oven, your refrigerator, your light from a press of a button. Uh,
right.
and that's not how a lot of us want to live. Uh,
I don't.
right, right. He said it's in the San Francisco Bay Area. Okay.
Oh, that makes sense. San Francisco, California. Say no more.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, the guy Mike, map reading, land nav, direction the sun comes and goes down, just speaking. Yeah. Skip. I mean, those skills are important. I think that's one thing too. Having maps in our vehicles of our state, of our towns, uh, just in case, the freeway is closed, the highways are closed. We have alternative routes to get home or through our travels. Uh, even now, when we're traveling long distances, I'm trying to look at different routes that we can possibly take to get there because you never know what's up ahead and what
Well,
trials are.
and the GPS, I'm sure we all heard stories where GPS took people to some off-road location that was
Mm,
not their destination. They was
yeah,
looking for alternative route. I think one case they was driving and traffic backed up. Everyone
right.
started pop. It took the alternative route and got stuck in some mud road. And it was like 30
Mm,
cars had to get towed.
mm,
But like me personally, I'm not big on the GPS. I use it kind of as a guide. Also, it
right.
tells you when police is on the road, so you might have to slow down a little
Yeah.
bit. But I have about two or three different maps throughout our vehicles, and
Okay.
some of them are older. And I never really updated them because for the most part, a highway is going to stay highway.
Right.
Some of the smaller roads and streets or subdivisions may pop up, but
Hmm.
for the most part, you'll be good with a 2018, 2019 map. And
Right.
since we started a new year, you could probably buy the older ones, the 2020s, at a reduced
Right.
cost. If you go to stores like Aldi's or TJ
Hmm.
Maxx or any of those guys like that, pick something up like that, throw it in the car. 10
Yeah.
bucks. You can't go
Yeah.
wrong.
For sure. Even something that I do on my travels, I go to all the stations in every state that I go, and I just pick up a map
Yeah,
because they're free, basically.
right,
Or if I go to a tourist location, most likely they'll have some free maps,
right.
and those are beneficial. I remember my father; he had a stack of maps in the back of his seat. A little cubby behind the seat right
Yeah,
there. A little pocket there. He had about, I would say, 50 maps of all the states, all the
he
towns that
was
he'd
good.
been to. Right. And he'd say, go in there and get me that map for this state. And I'm like,
Right,
I gotta look through this this whole
right.
thing and try to figure out which one is which, right? So, from their point on, it was just something that was in me to do.
Right,
And I thank God for him teaching me, to keep a map around, to
right,
look at alternative routes to where you're going. And not depend on our electrical system, which be our phones, our GPS, that
right.
can always fail at any time.
Anytime. Oh, another excellent source for maps is, but you have to be a member. If you go to
Mm,
AAA, they
mm,
have in-depth maps everywhere. So I went to go
nice.
get an oil change one day, and then I was like, "Oh wow!" Start picking up
Yeah,
maps. Then I went to pay. She's like, "Are you a member?" I'm like, "No." It's like, "Well, you gotta give those back." I was like, "Oh, okay."
right.
I was like, "I should just become a member just so I can load up
Yeah.
and cut out." But AAA, they're a real good source for maps. I mean, they had when I opened it up, it had every little detail on there, and maps could be fun too. I don't think
Hmm.
people realize it when you open up, they'll tell you different stuff about the city that you're in, landmarks, places to go. They'll tell you about fun. It's a lot of information on those maps. Just
Yeah.
open it up, look around.
Yeah. I mean, even I think you mentioned this in one of our previous talks, printing out maps from home.
Yep.
Uh, just go on the website, print them out. Uh, just any little thing that you can do to recognize alternative routes and locations, either to get home or to get to your destination, because that's all we're looking for at the end of the day.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, little hack for printing. So I have an HP printer.
Hmm.
Most inks for printers is like $50. I mean, you spend a lot of
Expensive.
money for ink.
Yeah.
I do a membership where I pay $7 a month, and that enables me to print up to 50 sheets a month. And if I don't
Hmm.
print it, it carries over. And I generally don't print out 50 a month. So by the
Okay.
end of the year, I only paid 70, but I get what I need or if I need more.
Right.
So like they actually sent me an extra one. So there's a couple of things that I know I'm just gonna go ham on and just keep printing. There's a lot of stuff I need I want to print. But
Okay.
start, if you don't want to buy books, y'all, you can
Hmm.
just find those resources online and just print out the information you have because as we've seen a lot of censorship, don't be
Hmm.
surprised if they start censoring stuff as far as survival,
Yeah.
because it doesn't look like they want us to rely on them for everything. So
Hmm.
start printing out what you need while you still can. And it's great that we could type, go to YouTube or Google and figure out what we need. But
Yeah.
that's not going to say it's going to be there when we need it. And we've seen
Right.
so many outages in the last 2 years where Google went down for a couple hours, Facebook went down for a couple hours. And what if that was the time when you needed to know how to fix your carburetor or whatever it is? But you
Hmm.
already printed it out, so you should be good.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that brings up a good point too. Knowing how to fix a car. I mean, you're out there on the road, you're out there on the highway. If you don't know what to do, um, if you don't follow the manual, if you don't have a manual, because a lot of people just go to the dealer to get their car fixed, even to
Yep,
do a basic oil change. Uh,
yep,
so learning these different skills, learning them how to do them beforehand, right? Um, so it's always good, to have a friend or somebody you can, talk it out with, or somebody who knows what they're doing that can teach you how to do these skills. Um, so I mean, that's one of the things that we can do now is just preparing, learning these skills, learning how to, fix cars, learning how to change tires, things like that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the
Yeah.
maintenance, of course, little things. I went the
Hmm.
cheap route, which I usually never do with my vehicle. And I bought
Right.
some Michigan, I forgot, whatever, wiper blades. And I regretted it because it was raining like for 3 weeks. It was off and on, and it was just left these big streaks. I'm like, well, let me clean it. I'm gonna clean the screen. And I'm like, you know
Hmm.
what? I went and spent twice the amount. It was probably like $18, and it's so crisp and clear. So when it comes to certain things, don't skimp on it. You know,
Right.
and for me personally, I'm always trying to think of something extra to put in the vehicle, or
Hmm.
just when I'm walking through the store and I'm looking like, how could I use this for survival? So one thing I did find, it was on sale, and if it wasn't on sale, I probably wouldn't have purchased it. Was Flex Seal. Um,
Yeah.
it was the actual tape, and it was
Okay.
like marked down to $5. So, for me, my thinking is, well, that's because that gonna seal a leak. So a
Right.
leak in a vehicle, I may not be a mechanic, but if I see something is dripping, I'm gonna seal it up.
Yeah.
So if whatever you don't know, learn how to problem shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
If oil is dripping from something, find where it's coming from and see how if you could possibly seal it. And of course, duct tape. That's
Hmm.
man's best friend.
Multi-purpose. You can use that. Shout out to everything with Sarge. Strength and honor to you, bro.
Yep,
Um,
Sarge.
but yeah, I think that the more we get into this new technology world, which I mean we're in it, the more we need to deep dive into these different skills and what to do and how to do it and when to do it. You know, uh, American Prepper Group. I brought enough oil and filters to do 2 oil changes in case the supply chain issue gets worse. Yeah, I mean
Yeah, you
that's
can do
good.
that. I,
Hmm.
I could definitely see something like that happening where they're like, well, there's an oil shortage now, and if you don't have oil in your vehicle, you're out of luck. I
Right.
mean, you can only go so far until you are in a bad position. And you can't
Hmm.
drive it after that because you can only just tear it down worse. So actually, I need to add that one.
Yeah,
Get that
yeah,
one.
for sure. American Prepper Group, we need to get you on this preparedness talk live with us, man. You got some good info, you know.
Straight out
Um,
of Texas, right?
yeah, when it's too late, man. That's the whole point of these talks. Is that we want to discuss these things, get some ideas out, brainstorm, and wherever you are, you can kind of pick our brains and kind of pick each other's brains on things that we're doing all over. Um, and it can be anything, regarding preparedness. But that's the whole point of this is to really, deep dive into little things that can help us along the way uh, in our preparedness journey. Um, but just setting ourselves apart from the worldly views of how we're supposed to live, and setting us apart for how we are supposed to live and how we want to live and how we want to survive in this new world.
Right. You know, one thing worst case scenario I was thinking about as far as what happened on 95 with the backup was medical emergency.
Mm,
Now you had miles miles of people backed up. Now if it was, you know, if one car slid hit another car and this person is hemorrhaging severely now, how do you get
right,
them out? If
right.
someone in that immediate area doesn't come to stop that bleeding, that
Hmm.
person is they're done.
Yeah.
If you have no vehicles that could get in there. So I think first aid is always something in the back of my mind. And as I looked through my first aid kit in the car, I was like, wait a minute, I was missing a couple things. I forgot I took something out, and I was like, all right, you see, I was slipping with it. So I have to,
Yeah.
put a couple more things. So just be mindful that we all make mistakes. We forget things. And I
Hmm.
know sometimes I do that. I grab something to use it for something else and don't put it back. But it
Yeah.
was really for some scissors because now if you're bleeding or something and you got to get to that wound, you can only pull your sleeve up, but so far some things you just need to cut
Hmm.
and get directly in the wound. And that's all it really was the scissors. And
Hmm.
I have a knife, I have a box cutter, but it wasn't going to be the same. So keep
Right.
checking your vehicles, your bug out bags, and everything. You never know what you might be missing. You forgot you took
Yeah.
out, or if you got kids, kids will take stuff out all the time of all kind of things, and then you're like, wait a minute, find
Hmm.
it in their room.
You gotta double check. Yeah.
You gotta double check.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, I did a little checking on my bag, um, just because it was cold, and I was like, do I have enough, gloves or hand
Right,
warmers and uh, in my bag, and medical did come up. I was reassessing what do I need. Do I need any more bandages, band-aids, um, Neosporin, things like that, little things that can get me by. And I think one of the important things to note, if people are stuck like that on the highway in traffic, a lot of times, again, it's relying on our technology, but a lot of times, if you call 911, they will help you stabilize the person.
I'll take
Um,
what to do.
so,
Okay,
right, they'll talk you through it, if it's an accident, and it's not an immediate, death that you need to
right.
handle. They'll help you walk you through it. Which I was thinking, if you can call 911, why can't there be a preparedness system where we can call each other and someone knows about that certain topic, whether that be in first aid,
Right,
whether that be in hunting,
right.
whether that be in, how to, put on a tourniquet, different things like that. That's something I was thinking about. I was like, if we can rely on 911, we can rely on each other,
Our
to
network,
do these
right?
things. Right.
And it
Right.
should be because we shouldn't have to ever rely on anyone. And what you said makes a lot of sense, but that's providing that you even have a cell signal.
Right.
Or
Hmm.
your battery died. Everyone has a
Yeah.
little jumper booster, but some people don't realize that you still have to preserve it. Well, I don't know how
Yeah.
long we'll be here. I'm gonna go ahead and play Angry Birds. Yeah, you
Right.
probably
Yeah.
shouldn't be playing games. You should just hold on
Not
to
the
that
time.
info. But that's like that becomes with rationing. I did see one story. It was a family that I guess they went grocery shopping. They didn't have a lot of groceries, but they
Hmm.
shared it with the people around them, which was really nice. But being realistic, you don't know how long you're going to be there. So
Right.
sharing a couple of cheese doodles, some Capri Suns, or whatever it is, that's a nice gesture.
Yeah.
But what happens if your kids are hungry now, and you're there for day two?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
knowing when to say no and knowing when to help is
Hmm.
it could be kind of tricky sometimes because you do want
Yeah.
to help. And I'm a person where I tend to give a lot, but then it's at a certain point. It's like, all right, I know I got food over here. Well, that lady has a young kid. I should go give her
Hmm.
some food.
Yeah.
Those are two able-bodied guys. I think they'll be fine. My family
Hmm.
needs to eat, and try to assess it from there.
Yeah. I was also thinking that that was a perfect time. I know a lot of people, look down on MREs, but that's a perfect time to whip out an MRE. I
Right,
mean, during that time free, I mean, it's an overnight stay basically.
right,
You have a heater in your MRE if you want to, heat it up, or if you just want to
right,
heat yourself,
right.
to use that as another hand warmer. But MREs are great in that scenario. I would suggest. everybody get just a few MREs. I know they're
Put it in the
expensive,
trunk.
but just pop them in there during these times because it's unpredictable.
Right, right. And everyone has a trunk for the most part to have some kind of space.
Hmm.
Just designate a certain amount of space for certain things that you need, just for your
Yeah,
vehicle, and have a bag in there for your get home bag in there.
yeah,
It's really not that hard. You just gotta have that prepared mentality.
yeah. That's it. I mean, even canned foods. If you put some ravioli back there,
Yep.
or whatever it is, whatever you like. Um, I it made me rethink my snack bag. The one I got in my car of things that I would want to eat if it was a long period of time in my car, which I do that anyway.
Right.
Uh, you know, so
Oh,
but
remember the guy got trapped. He got trapped in like a snowbank or something for I think three
mm,
days, and the only thing he ate was packets of Taco Bell's taco sauce.
oh
Yeah,
no, I didn't hear about that.
yeah. This was a couple years ago, but he had basically packs of Taco Bell's taco sauce, and that's the only thing
Wow,
he said that's the only thing he ate. So
right,
I think what I'm basically saying is put something in your vehicle that you would like to enjoy to eat. And
yeah,
also, take a trick is eat slowly. You won't get
hmm,
you'll get filled faster. Cause me personally, when I
right,
just munch and chew, I could keep going through it, and like I have a bottomless stomach at that point. But when you gotta
hmm,
take a little bite, you're not going anywhere, so take your time and learn
right,
how to ration with the food
yeah,
and the water.
for sure. I mean, the reality is we can survive 3 weeks without food anyway.
Right.
Um, so the food for me is just a comfort to get you through. It's
Yes.
a mental comfort to get you through that scenario. A
Absolutely.
lot of times you won't necessarily need it. It wouldn't be a need at that point. It would just be a want and a comfort. And it's not an overnight thing. Even being prepared is not an overnight thing. It's
Not at all.
gradual things that you do, little things that we do in life
And
that add
constant.
up. Yeah,
Yes.
they add up. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely the way to do things. I mean, if you're looking to get into winter preparedness, winter survival, just little topics, little things that we hit on today, and definitely we're gonna do more of this, more conversation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be safe, be healthy, stay blessed. Prepare mentality.
All right. Freedom forever.